You know those two guys from work who won't shut up about football, but are pretty damn entertaining? Well, they decided to buy a couple microphones. And with that, we welcome you to the Cheesy Corn Sports Podcast, where Justin Adams and Martin Cheney wrangle over everything college football and NFL. Bold predictions, hot takes, and live game reactions. This is Cheesy Corn Sports. And now, here's your hosts, Justin and Martin.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another installation of Cheesy Corn Sports Fantasy Football 2023 rankings. So, this will be the last of our series, tied in rankings. So far, we will be updating these periodically, and when we see any major shakeups, we will upload and update accordingly. So, let's go ahead and pass it over to Cheney. Cheney, do you have anything to say to people before we start these rankings?
Hello, people. Thank you for watching the video.
People. Humans. I know humans.
Exactly. No, let's do it.
You ready? All right.
Yeah.
So, as always, like, comment, subscribe, do the thing. You know, I won't say it. First off, let's go ahead and I will begin with my number 13. All right, we did 13. We wanted to do 12. We did 13. Number 13 for me is Chig Okonkwo. People like Chig Okonkwo a lot. Probably don't like that I'm at 13, but I digress. His rookie year is very eerily similar to Mark Andrews. I did find a chart on this. So snap share wise, Mark Andrews, 35%. Chig Okonkwo, 36%. This is their rookie seasons. Mark Andrews had 414 snaps. Chig, 378. Mark Andrews had 291 routes run. Chig, only 172. Yards, 552 yards for Mark Andrews, 449 for Chig. Yards per route run, which is very indicative of fantasy points. 2.01 for Andrews, 2.61 for Chig. Receptions, 34 for Andrews, 32 for Chig. And that is on, like I said, a route count of 291 to 172. So there is a huge discrepancy in the number of routes run versus the number of receptions. And they both had 3 touchdowns. So just looking at that, right, the recipe for success is there. We've seen it play out with Andrews. That doesn't necessarily mean Chig is going to be successful. But from what we have seen, it gives us a lot of hope, but we need to be careful of not confusing hope with actual production, because until we see that, we need to just calm down and put him kind of middle of the rankings. So he's not quite in my tight end 1 area yet, but feel comfortable with him at 13. So it's yours.
Yeah. I don't have Okonkwo in my top 13. He's in the same tier as my 13. He's like in the same as like Tyler Higbee, Greg Dulcich. That's Schultz. The kind of tier that I have. Yeah. But at 13, I have Gerald Everett of the Los Angeles Chargers. He was kind of Mr. Reliable floor option last year. He'd get you anywhere from 8 to 12 points. Never really going much higher, rarely going lower. So tight end 13 is where he finished last year. I would probably be susceptible to move him out of this top 13 as we get closer to the season. But I have no idea what Michael Mayer is going to look like in the Raiders offense. I don't really know what Dalton Kincaid's looking like. I don't know what Luke Schoonmaker's looking like. Sam Laporta, Luke Musgrave, like all of those tight ends. All those rookie tight ends. I feel like at least 1 or 2 is going to break into that tight end 13, tight end 12 range. So Gerald Everett would be my first out. But until I see that happen, it's Gerald Everett.
Well, number 11 for me is going to be Dalton Schultz. Not biased because he's on the Texans, by the way. Still extremely good. he's in the perfect situation to have his best season. Reason being, we've talked about this on a live a while back. And I believe it was the Rams and Higbee was the tight end. And I can't remember which quarterback, but we were saying Higbee was going to have a good week, and he ended up having 2 touchdowns because there was a filling quarterback. And it panned out. Rookie QB is going to rely a lot on his checkdowns, I feel like. CJ Stroud, it's just the nature of the beast. As they process the game, they're going to be a little bit more apt to look at those checkdowns quicker. And, he kind of is a very solid tight end. He really hasn't ever shown anything to say that like he's going to just have this disastrous season. I think this is a great situation. Like I said, I think the Texans offense got him to utilize him, and I think he's going to be really good. Potential top 10 upside easy, but I'll comfortably put him at 11 to not seem biased. So,
yeah, we will get to Dalton Schultz later. At tight end 12 is actually where I have the only rookie in these rankings for me, Dalton Kincaid. Dawson Knox has been like a touchdown reliant tight end over the past couple of years. We said everything we needed to say about Josh Allen and like how he throws the ball and stuff like that. If you missed our notes on Josh Allen, go check out the quarterback's video. But I think Dalton Kincaid is going to take over Dawson Knox's role, especially if Dawson Knox gets hurt again, because he's been doing that. And if so, I think
doing that.
Right. I think if Dalton Kincaid does get that chance, this is right around where I would have Dawson Knox anyway. So just kind of slide in Dalton Kincaid. It's rare for a rookie tight end to kind of have that super nice rookie year. I mean, Kyle Pitts did it, but again, we'll get to him later.
Yeah, we'll get to him.
Yeah, he's a unicorn. But yeah, so Dalton Kincaid, I like the landing spot. I like the Josh Allen aspect, and I love his talent.
I have 0 rookies in my rankings. I don't trust rookie tight ends. Typically, year one, they don't do a lot.
Right.
So
right.
I'm never really probably going to include one unless there is another generation talent, Kyle Pitts. So number 10, Evan Ingram. You mentioned before the show you were interested in where I had Evan Ingram. Well, I got him at 10. Here's why. I do think he is set up for success. Okay. He was number hold on. Going on to my number 11 is going to be Evan Ingram. Reason why Evan Ingram is number 11 in my rankings. He was number 5th. Did it again. Fifth. I have listen. I'm powering through this time. All right, just for y'all to know, I stopped. I did that the first time. I stopped, and we're gonna edit it out. I just did it again. I don't care anymore. First in slots. Hold on, god damn it. All right, 5th in total points. 1st in slot snaps. 2nd in yards after the catch. 9th in EPA, which is efficiency. QB rating per target and fantasy points per route run. He was number 9th in every single one of those categories. Evan Ingram, about as solid as it gets. 11. You would hear all that and think I would have him higher, but you'll see my case for the guys I have ahead of him. I have him comfortably 11.
Number 11 for me, David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. We talk about Kyle Pitts as, as uber athletic as he is and, as talented as he is. People forget how athletic David Njoku is. He finished as the tight end 10 last year. He was kind of like a better Gerald Everett. He was very consistent. He was like the guy that nobody really drafted, but he was the first tight end picked up when theirs got hurt. And it paid out for him. He had 58 catches last year, 4 touchdowns. if they threw the ball his way, he basically caught it. He called in 72.5 of his targets, averaged 45 yards a game. And so, you pair that with 3-4 catches a game. Again, you have 8-9 points a game. Sprinkle a couple touchdowns in. You see how it starts to add up. Yeah, he's in the prime of his career. Deshaun Watson was targeting him pretty early as soon as he got back. So I think there's a lot that we can look forward to with David Njoku coming into the season.
Yeah. David Njoku, he was a guy that I was he helped me in my fantasy year last year immensely. I was able to actually, believe it or not, swing him up on a waiver wire ad, and he performed very well. I do know there was a couple of instances where I feel like with Deshaun playing the way he was, that of course Njoku didn't get the best opportunities. But I say all that to say I actually don't have him on my rankings. So you might be confused by that. Again, just let me explain. All right. So let's go ahead into my number 10. My number 10 is going to be Darren Waller. Okay. Darren Waller was actually ahead of Travis Kelce in fantasy points per touch. He was in. Last 4 weeks of the season, he went over his expected point total. So he was outperforming the expectation over the last four weeks, but he is old. So that's why he's here. He is old. Very old. So Darren Waller, number 10.
Yeah. Tight end 10 for me is Dalton Schultz of the Houston Texans. There is no rookie quarterback on a bad team's, no offense, there is no rookie quarterback on a bad team's best friend more than a reliable tight end.
Yep.
And I think Dalton Schultz just got a $9 million deal for just one season. He's going to come in. He's a big body, 6'5", 240. He's going to go in. He's going to offer a nice, reliable target to C.J. Stroud, throw a couple his way, get into a rhythm. Then you can start to spread the ball out a little bit more. But especially, 6'5", big red zone target. I think that's kind of why Houston may have gone after him. Yeah, I mean, people forget this guy was the tight end 3 2 years ago. There was a kind of a QB carousel last year with Dallas after Dak Prescott got hurt.
Cooper.
Right. You had Cooper Rush, people saying that he was an actual good quarterback for 3 weeks.
Bro, he was like putting up like 10 offensive points.
Right.
And the defense was just bad.
He was managing the game very well. All kudos to him. But yeah. I mean,
on a team built to manage the game. Exactly. He didn't even do a good job at it either.
Exactly. But Dalton Schultz, number 10, I think he has a decent year.
Agree. I like that. Number 9, the Muth, otherwise known as Pat Fryermuth. The man, the myth, the legend. He was ranked 6th at the tight end position in terms of receiving yards and receptions. He ran 435 routes in 2022. Went down in points per game, but only 0.02% decrease year over year. TDs went from 7 to 2, so there was a little bit of a drop off in those. And the upsides in the red zone targets. So there is upside to be had with that. If he starts getting more of those red zone targets and is able to convert more to touchdowns, he will be higher on this list. But I do like Pat Fryermuth right now. It just can't put him ahead of the guys I have ahead of him right now. Number 9.
Yeah. I too have the Muth at number 9.
Muth is loose.
I love his floor.
Yeah.
He had basically the same number of catches from his rookie year to last year. Had 98 targets last year. Let's keep that in mind. His yardage jumped from 497 to 732. Yes, the touchdowns did dip. However, he was also going from Ben Roethlisberger to Kenny Pickett.
Yep.
We talked about it with Najee Harris in the running backs video. Go check that out too. But it's kind of the same thing with Trevor Lawrence, where like another year in the offense is going to get better.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is going to match Trevor Lawrence in his progression, but Mike Tomlin is a solid coach.
Yeah.
This offense is going to get better. Fantasy Pros has his strength of schedule as the 7th easiest for tight ends. So to me, Freiermuth is a solid, mid to late round option at tight end.
He's just a very balanced option.
100%.
Like, high floor, but also relatively high ceiling at the same time. Yep, I don't think he has a high enough ceiling to crack into the top 4, but I do think he can crack into that 5 spot. And like you said, Tomlin, he can scheme him up. Just let him cook. And I feel like when I was watching Steelers games last year, I was almost expecting the ball to go to Freiermuth when they needed the ball to get down the field. So if they're in a situation where they needed to score, I feel like Muth got so many targets, man. Every time I watched them and they were in that situation. However, they weren't quality targets. So it was a little upsetting because I had Pat Freiermuth in one of my leagues. So, yeah. So, number 8, tight end 8 for me is going to be Mr. George Kittle.
Whoa.
I'll take. QB situation, still up in the air. He's incredibly talented, as we know. Top 3 upside. I'm not just, everybody, give me some space here. Second highest receiving grade on PFF. Yeah, I know. Justin, why is it 8? 4th in yards per route run. TDs were abnormally high for him. And he is older. He was inconsistent last year. I know George Kittle and how we know him in a vacuum is elite receiving tight end. I get that. But we did see some inconsistency and regression last year. Again, the QB situation still up in the air, and he had his highest touchdown yet, and I don't think that number is going to stay where it was. I do believe that'll regress. I think overall he's going to regress a little bit in talent, and I think that offense is going to utilize him a little bit less. I do think that offense is going to scheme it up a lot more. The CMC, area, getting Debo involved. Kittle to me is losing a step, and I hate to say that because I love George Kittle. Like, he is a fun dude to watch play. He's still going to be fun to watch. He's still elite, right? We're not knocking him down to like tight end 17, but I feel like I have to explain myself to even put him at 8 because that's just how good he's been. But
yeah.
George Kittle, tight end 8 for me.
All right. Tight end 8 for me is Darren Waller. He goes over to a Giants offense that really didn't do much to increase the talent in their receiving core. They did get Jalen Hyatt in like the 3rd round, but there's been discussion about, Jalen Hyatt still hasn't joined the first team in reps and stuff. So he's probably going to go along the more regular rookie projection. He's not going to like step in and be an immediate impact. Meanwhile, you're hearing all these reports about how impressed all the coaching staff is with Darren Waller, how Daniel Jones loves Darren Waller, how loves to throw to him and all this stuff. Had a disappointing year last year. He missed most of it. But I still think Darren Waller has some juice. I think Brian Dable loves the tight end position, especially in the red zone, as we saw with Dawson Knox a couple years ago, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of the role that I see Darren Waller in this year.
Yeah, I do agree with that take. That's a very good point on Waller. And so you had him 8.
Yes.
And I had him 10. Got it. Okay, cool. So number 7, Mr. Greg Dulcich.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Hey, hear me out. Okay, cool. Here we go. Sean Payton, one of the best offensive minds, right? We know that. He only had 2 red zone targets last year due to a bad offense.
Yep.
He was electric when on the field. He started on the IR, didn't finish the season. Has coached, Sean Payton has coached great tight ends. Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey. they are going to use Dulcich in a similar fashion. I can only assume they're going to use him in a similar fashion. And the upside is tremendous. Even me having him ranked at 7, he still has upside.
Yeah.
To exceed that. Okay. So I don't know if you disagree with that or anything. If you do, let me know. If not, we'll carry on. I see you a little.
No, because like I agree. It's almost like I agree with every point that you made, but I still can't get that disgusting taste out of my mouth that you would get from watching a Broncos game last year.
That was gross.
Exactly.
But it will improve.
I agree. It'll improve.
It'll improve. It has to.
It can't go much further down.
Go up, right? Jeez. I mean, you could be the Texans, but don't try that.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
I don't have him in my top 12.
We're in a somewhat disagreement of agreement.
Right.
But we disagree.
It's one of those, like, I would have no problem admitting that I was wrong about.
Yeah.
Versus, like, you know, when Cordero Patterson blew up, right, at the age of 32 or whatever it was, I was pissed. Like, I was so mad that I just lost because Cordero Patterson put up 32 points. I'm not mad if Greg Dulcich does that.
He was a first-round draft pick, sir.
Yeah, back in, like, 1999.
But he actually wasn't. He was terrible. He was just a kick returner.
Exactly.
You got drafted was garbage.
Yeah.
I think he went the same draft as Will Fuller, if I'm not mistaken.
It's possible.
Very close. Somewhere around there.
But same principle.
Yep.
So, all right. You've had your share of hot takes. Get ready for mine. Tight end 7. Kyle Pitts.
It's not crazy, right? But that's
right.
Fun. That's I'm up. Hold on. Delay. Where's my censor button? Okay, it was a delay. Fuck.
There it is.
Whatever, dude. I can't do this. That's low. That's very low. I thought I had him low. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Torn MCL. He's coming back. Art Smith loves to run the ball. I think they're going to use and abuse Bijan Robinson this year, like we talked about.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But, I mean, even before he got hurt last year, Kyle Pitts was in the running to be the 2022 disappointment of the year. I know, because I drafted him in our Dynasty Startup.
I traded for him.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, I think there's a sense of unknown because we never got to see Kyle Pitts with Desmond Ridder. We saw Kyle Pitts with Mariota. And
we just got to see Desmond Ridder. I get what you're saying.
Right. So there is a silver lining here, which is why I have him at 7, not like completely all the way out on him.
Hey, calm down. Jeez, man. Did he kill your cat or something? Jeez, relax. God.
Because there were multiple games where he had 7 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. But he would only have like 2 receptions out of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. But
Mariota stat line for you.
Right. I want him to be better. I want him to get better. I want to be wrong about this pick. But I like who I have at 6 through 1 far more.
I'm going to go to tight end 5.
Okay.
Because we are on track, right?
Yeah.
We're doing 12. I just got the numbers off because it added the 6 back. So,
do you want me, like, you can do your 5, and then do you want me to do my 6 and 5?
Oh, yeah, to make sure you get all your people.
Well, because it's like, I don't want you to say you're 1, and I haven't talked about my 2 yet.
That's right. Because you did your 13th. Gotcha. Okay, cool. We'll do it that way then. So, I'll do my 5, and you'll do your 6 and 5.
unless you want me to talk about my 6 right now.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, Cheney, go ahead and take it away with your number 6. Apologies, people. I had my numbering off. So Cheney's going to take it away with number 6. But the rankings remain the same. Cheney, go ahead.
Yeah. Tight end 6 is someone that I think, he could really break into the upper realm of tight end this year. That's Evan Ingram. With the Jacksonville Jaguars, he completely broke out at the end of the year last year. Doug Peterson had all the faith in the world. Doug Peterson loves tight ends. You saw it with Zach Ertz. You saw it with Dallas Goedert. And now you're seeing it with Evan Ingram, where there'd be they would do jet sweeps and end arounds to the tight end position. They'd run screens to the tight end position. Evan Ingram, week 14 against the Tennessee Titans, 15 targets. Week 15 against Dallas, 10 targets. Had another 10-target game against Houston, 8 targets against finished as the tight end 5 last year with 98 targets, 73 receptions. That's great for a tight end. That's great top 7-6 for a tight end. I would love to have Evan Ingram fall to me in round 8. I don't know what his ADP is right now, but
I can get it.
Yeah, actually, hold on here. Evan Ingram, ADP 88. So if you're in that 10-man league, actually no, that's mid to late 8th round, based on whether or not it's a 10 or 12-man league. I love that value. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. What? Where? Out of curiosity, where'd you get the ADP from? Just making sure they know.
Sleeper.
Okay, cool. Because I know some of these update theirs differently. So Player Profile has them at 74.5. So right in there in that 75, 85, 90 range. So
I would still take him at 74.
Agreed. Based on the numbers you had and the numbers I had, he is due for a big season.
Yeah.
So, right. Running into my number 5. My number 5, Kyle Pitts. All right, here we go. All right, you had your moment. So, Kyle Pitts. If he's going to get on track, this is the year, right? I believe this is the year he will get back on track. Okay. Bijan may actually open up more opportunities for Pitts. Okay. Because the problem with that offense, Drake London, Kyle Pitts.
Mm-hmm.
Defense, stop those guys. Now you have a monster back there that you got to scheme your whole defense against. And now Kyle Pitts is going to be open. I almost moved him higher than this. He has a wide receiver good enough to prevent him from constant doubles, right? So he's Bijan and Drake London. We know how elite Drake London is.
Mm-hmm.
Even with busting, he was the 5th ranked tight end on a per snap basis in scoring. So, it's hard to really argue with him at 5. Finished top 5 at the position in target share, target rate, air yard share, average target distance, deep targets, unrealized air yards, expected fantasy points per game, yards per route run, and yards per team pass. 5th in all those, he's 5th on my rankings. The glaring metric that likely held him back, target accuracy, 38th among tight ends. The usage and the volume were there. But that dreaded arm of Mr. Marcus Mariota, it failed him. And that's literally where Kyle Pitts failed. Everything else says otherwise. But that 38th ranked quality of target is horrendous. Kyle Pitts next year is going to have an amazing season. The dude's 22 still. Kelsey broke out at 30. Kyle Pitts this season, it's coming hard. It's coming fast. I know he's not in the greatest QB situation, but it's better. All right, Bijan throwing the ball would be better than Mariota. So Kyle Pitts, number 5.
Yeah. So tight end 5 for me is George Kittle. I agree that he's starting to slide in a downward trend. I think you probably think he's sliding a little bit further down than I am.
We're not too far off, though.
Not too far. I mean,
but 7, I do have him lower.
Since his rookie year, outside of the one season where he had played in half the games, he has been a top 4 tight end finish every single year. Last year was a little misleading. He had 11 touchdowns despite having 11 less receptions. The yards per target were the lowest that they have been since that rookie year. The target share for Kittle is nowhere near what it was back in like 2018, 2019. And the yards were down as well. There's also the question of who's going to be quarterback. There's the question of now that you have a full season with Christian McCaffrey. And, I mean, honestly, it really comes back to the quarterback. You know, is it Trey Lance? Is it Brock Purdy? Is it Sam Darnold? What's happening with that? But even the touchdowns were a little misleading. 7 of those 11 touchdowns came in the last month. From week 15 to week 18, he scored 7 touchdowns.
They were still there.
100%. If you were in the playoffs with him, good chance he won you the championship.
Yep.
But you had to have a pretty decent team to get to the playoffs if he was your tight end.
Yep. There's your problem.
Right. Like week 10, 3 points. And then he blew up against Arizona. Not hard to do with 24. And then he had 5 points, 4 points, 6 points. And then he took off with the touchdowns. So, a little misleading. I think there needs to be more information to come out before I would be comfortable moving him back up into the top 5.
No, I'm right there with you. And it's interesting. We both had the same point about the touchdowns. It's an outlier. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Going to my tight end 4, Mr. Dallas Goedert. He's in the Eagles offensive system, okay? The man's got Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
Hurts is getting better. Goddard's going to get more targets. Goddard's going to get heavily involved in this offense. It's going to be a heavy dose of everybody they can scheme into this offense. Goddard is one of the most reliable, sure-handed guys on the team and in the tight end position. They're going to get Goddard involved. He's going to get points. He's at 4.
Yeah, I have Goddard at 4 as well. But if you look at the just like season end finishes, you wonder why. You're like, okay, he's never finished higher than tight end 10 in his career. He's never had 90-plus targets like the rest of these guys have. Never had more than 5 touchdowns. But at the same time, when you watch an Eagles game, Dallas Goedert is always heavily involved. They're always hyping him up, talking about him. 10 yards per target last year. 12 yards per catch last year. Very sure-handed. Out of the 69 targets, nice. He had 55 receptions. So throughout the course of the entire year, you only had 14 incompletions his direction. The efficiency is off the charts. And I would say that's an outlier, but the efficiency has kind of been there his entire career. They go to Dallas Goedert because they scheme to Dallas Goedert. And I don't see that going away. So.
Right there with you. All right. Tight end 3, Mr. Hawk, TJ Hawkinson. All right. TJ Hawkinson to me, screaming value. When I made this ranking, don't know if this has changed, but when I made this ranking, according to a player profiler, his ADP was 49.9. The addition of Addison concerns me because there goes some targets, and those targets aren't going to go away from Justin Jefferson. So they're going to be going away from somebody. Hawkinson is that guy. it's going to be a matter of who's going to establish themselves as the clear number 2 option throughout the season between him and Addison.
Yeah.
So we have yet to see that. I do believe he will continue to steadily improve, but if he gets the right amount of targets, if he could keep a similar target share to what he had last year, he does have tight end 1 upside. We saw what he was in Detroit, and we saw what he was in Minnesota, and there was a lot to like. So Hockenson at 3, he, like I said, could finish tight end 1, but 3 is, man, I'm really like Pitts, man. I'm really want to slide Pitts up. I just got really hyped on Pitts. I don't know. I don't know. I slide Pitts up. But right now, TJ Hockenson 3. Just stay tuned for the next ranking.
Yeah. Again, TJ Hockenson.
Yeah.
Tight end 3. I don't think he's going to have the 129 targets that he had last year, especially with Addison coming in. Last year, it was Jefferson, Hockenson, and then you had Thielen and KJ Osborne kind of fighting, or Olabisi Johnson, or whoever the hell the Vikings had.
It shouldn't be hard to beat out whoever those are.
Right. Now, I think Jordan Addison takes probably 30 of Hawkinson's targets away and then absorbs a lot of what KJ Osborne and Adam Thielen had as well. That's probably what Addison's target share is going to be. If that's the case, Hockenson still has 100 targets. Still going to finish in that 60, 70 reception range. Probably 700 to 900 yards. Yeah. To me, that's a solid tight end 3, tight end 4 season.
Yep.
There's really not else to say. Nothing else to say.
Nada.
Exactly.
TJ Hockenson. We are lockstep 4 and 3. Let's see about number 2. My number 2 is going to be Mr. Travis Kelce. League winner last year. We all know what Travis Kelce is. Very, 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 very good. If not the greatest receiving tight end of all time. One of. But he's getting older, and his ADP right now is 6.5. So I don't know if I want to take a 32, 33-year-old tight end 6th overall. That, to me, is when you can have guys like TJ Hockenson at 49, 50, and then you're getting Kelce at 6.5, and I have him 2 and 3. It's just the value isn't there for me. I do think he'll fall off a little bit. Again, a little bit meaning he's going to slip from 1 to 2. And however that looks, it's going to look. But I just think he's going to take a slight step back. I do think the Chiefs offense is going to take a slight step back. And, I mean, it's still tight end 2, still solid. So, Travis Kelce 2.
Yeah, I'll touch on the value or perceived lack thereof for Kelce after I talk about Mark Andrews at 2. Mark Andrews, even with the past 2 seasons of Lamar kind of being down in production, Mark Andrews has put together 2 of the greatest, seasons not going to Travis Kelce in recent memory. Had 154 targets in 2021. En route to finish as tight end 1. Finished as tight end 4 last year. Also played in 2 less games. Still had 113 targets. Saw the touchdowns kind of dip, but everything else was still up there. My only reason for putting Mark Andrews at 2 is you see all of these receivers join the Ravens all of a sudden, and I have no idea where these targets are going to come from for those receivers, if not to pick away at Mark Andrews. I don't think they should pick away at Mark Andrews' targets, but I think it's going to happen, even if it's a little bit. You may talk about Mark Andrews.
Mark Andrews. All right. So if he's the last 2,
yeah,
we can bait him if we want. Okay. Mark Andrews, to me, is the best value. ADP, as of making these rankings, was 31.1, according to Player Profiler.
Yep.
The opportunity share in the efficiency of him for 2021 and 2022 is elite. First off, the ADP going around, 10-man league, third round, late second, whereas Kelsey was going first round every single mock draft that you would look at, right? And I get that, but the value's there. But not only that, the numbers you went through. Look at the numbers you went through, right? So we have that a new and improved Lamar Jackson, improved because now he's got a contract that is locked step, and none of this, whatever is going on in that situation is going on anymore. It's going to be the Mark Andrews show in that offense. So with his efficiency though, let's point at some of his efficiency numbers here. So, productivity wise, right? Third in receptions, third in receiving yards, 13th in yards after catch, second in unrealized air yards. Fantasy points per game is 3 and expected is 2. Okay. Now, with his efficiency, his dominator rating was number 2. Okay. That is a total of the team's receiving yards and teams receiving touchdowns. 29.5% of their offense was Mark Andrews. He dropped the ball. He had 9 drops in 2022. Now let's compare those to 2021. All right. 2021 here. So he is, here we go. First in targets, first in target share, second target rate. Only 13th in snap share, though. That being 13th in the target rate and target share being number 1 and 2 is good. Slot snaps 2, routes run 2, route participation 84.3%, 3, air yards 1, air yard share 1, average depth of target 5, deep targets 1, red zone targets 1, target quality rating 5, productivity receptions 1, receiving yards 1, yards after catch 3, unrealized air yards 1, total yards 2. No, the guy gets buckets. All right, just going to put it that way. I think Travis Kelce takes a step back. I think Mark Andrews is going to be back to Mark Andrews of 2021. And I don't think it's relatively going to be close in comparison to Kelce. So I feel that. That is his offense. So
yeah, I love Mark Andrews. For the reasons that you said, the reasons that I said, I love Mark Andrews. I didn't put him at tight end 2 because I hate him. I have Travis Kelce there. I have Travis Kelce there simply because
you're not wrong for that.
Like, looking at last year, right? Just face value tight ends. Travis Kelce finished with 315 fantasy points. Tight end 2 finished with 214. There is a 100-point difference. So until we see that gap close, I'm keeping Kelce at 1. Now, that's the only thing I wanted to say about Kelce, really. I think there's a better discussion to be had about ADP, about the value in the draft position that you get them.
It's been updated to 21.7 on Player Profiler, so it is climbing.
For Mark Andrews?
Yes.
Yeah. Sleeper has Mark Andrews sitting at 24.7. So
I'll still take him. Better than the first round pick.
Right, and I'm getting there. Because they have Travis Kelce's. Where the hell is he? Oh, shit, I'm on 22. 23. There we go. Travis Kelce's ADP is 5.8. So, yeah, right in that.
Yeah.
Six
Look who he's going around.
Right.
Who would you rather have?
That's 100% my point.
Chase, Stephon Diggs, Devontae, Tyreek,
yeah,
Bijan.
If I can get Austin Eckler at the same position that I can get Travis Kelce, and then I can get CeeDee Lamb in the second round just to score Mark Andrews, the tight end 2, in the third round, I would much rather take that over getting Travis Kelce and then trying to play catch up with the other positions.
Right.
I understand the positional advantage with tight ends and PPR and all that stuff.
I know where you're going with this.
But
value doesn't dictate result.
Right.
But, okay.
I will say this. If your league has a tight end premium where there's like additional points per reception for tight end.
That would be Dynasty, yeah.
Then you can talk about Travis Kelce being a home run hit in the first round. I think Travis Kelce, you're going to get all the points in the world from him anyway. But I think as a team roster construction standpoint, I think you can have a better roster drafting Mark Andrews in the early third than you would drafting Travis Kelce in the middle of the first.
Yeah, agreed. And literally these two are completely interchangeable. I am just banking on Kelce losing a step and Andrews taking another step forward back to what his 2021 number were. And Lamar Jackson also has to factor into that too. So there are a lot of moving parts to this. And those two, I mean, you look anywhere, you see 1-2, 1-2, whatever kind of way you want to flip it. But those are typically the top two guys
right.
In most every ranking. So, yeah. You got anything more to say on that?
The only time that I would say absolutely take Travis Kelce in the first round is if he falls to you at 9 or 10, and then you immediately stack him with Mahomes at the 1-2 turn.
To me, it would be more of a tier thing, right?
Yeah.
Who has gone? What's the teardrop?
Right.
And format matters. How many receivers do you need? How many running backs you need? There's a lot that goes into it. But for me, I've always been a fade the tight end to the later rounds type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
For me to ever take a first round tight end, actually, it probably never happened. So I'm not a fan of that. You only need one tight end. Like you said, unless it's Dynasty tight end premium, which then you're still probably wrong because you're in a Dynasty league drafting a 33-year-old tight end. So, but I do get it there because that man will win you a championship. If you draft him for a year to win you a championship in a tight end premium, he probably will. So, but yeah. So, and the numbers may be off, but it still resulted in the same amount of rankings. So, yeah, just a couple little bit of numbers thrown off, but still 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The same thing. It works. Just count it. Cool. All right. You got anything else, Jenny?
Nope. That's all.
All right. Well, as always, thank you everybody again for tuning in to another episode of the Cheesy Corn Sports Podcast. This is the conclusion of our 2023 positional rankings. Tight end rankings are done. Everything should be out. Hopefully you watch them all, and we will update these as time goes along, and we will be bringing you specific content to come in the future. We got some things in the hatch that we're prepping up for, so be ready for those on the horizon. So if there's nothing else from you, Cheney, I will then go ahead and send it to the outro. Peace.
Thanks for checking out the Cheesy Corn Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss an episode. For more information or to connect with Justin and Martin, check out Cheesy Corn Sports on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We'll see you next time on Cheesy Corn Sports.